And thanks for joining us here on PM Express. So the finance minister says the debt exchange deadline is final. And that deadline is going to be upon us in the next few hours. It's significantly less than 24 hours. We are going to hear from him. Many people may have missed his address to the nation, which was delivered at 7 p.m. I'm going to play that in full. It's pretty short, but I'm going to play it in full for you. Hear the context of his declaration that this is final and his expectation tomorrow. It is a big deal going into tomorrow. This is a make or break issue. If the government is successful at getting 80% plus, then they are confident they will get an IMF Executive Board approval in March. But that isn't the whole picture. There are many other things that may also play in this particular equation, but they're resting a lot on the domestic debt exchange and its success. But there is a bigger question that we are interrogating tonight, which is the government trust deficit, which is also playing a role in the success or otherwise of the domestic debt exchange that we might see play out tomorrow. So we'll do that, and we'll get some of our guests and panelists to join us after we've heard the finance minister. But what are the basic points to note? The basic points to note is that the current debt exchange program was based on an amendment memorandum, and today this created a trust issue. This particular thing you see behind me created a significant trust issue when the debt exchange memo made the point that if you were holding on to bonds which were maturing before the closure of the debt exchange program, government was saying they were not going to pay the interest and they won't pay the principal as well. As a result of which today, bonds that matured today have not been paid. So government had defaulted on the interest and also on the principal for many people who were holding on to bonds amounting to more than 4 billion cedis. Got a lot of people panicking, but also created this big problem, the government trust deficit. That is really the major issue preventing government from achieving its success for the domestic debt exchange program. This trust deficit is a major issue. Many people simply have lost trust in the government to keep its word on many things they've said. And so, as the deadline approaches, about 50 bondholders went to the Ministry of Finance to demonstrate. These are pensioners who are holding on to bonds who say they want to be exempted. Why? Although the finance minister had said last week that he will not punish anyone who chooses to opt out of the voluntary debt exchange program, and that they would honor the obligations as they fall due, they felt they still had to go to the finance ministry to demonstrate, to picket. Why? Because they don't trust that the finance minister and the government will keep its word to pay them when their coupons are due. That is really at the heart of the problem. And if government fail to address that trust deficit, it is going to be tough going forward. But that's what we're going to be discussing today with the guests who are joining me. There's a phrase that the finance minister is now holding on to today, help me so I can help you. But if you even look at the construction of that phrase, help me so I can help you, the focus is on the citizens helping the government. So in other words, help me so I can help you. The government's help is dependent on the citizens helping first. But many have argued in this whole conversation that the government must first show the way. They must live by example, and they must show first that they are helping the citizens, and then the citizens will respond to that, right? So that is really at the heart of the conversation. That's why we're going to be discussing this trust deficit in getting a successful debt exchange program. And as we know today, the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana haven't been happy at all at the finance minister for failing to honor bonds and that had matured today and pay them as they've been due, and they've accused him of, in essence, abusing his office in this particular issue. This is something that the finance minister emphasized tonight. Again, it's the new deal on the table. And as far as it's concerned, it is the best deal on the table. And he cannot go beyond what he's already put on the table. 10% if you have 59 years and below for 5 years, and 15% coupon if you are 59 years and above. He says, no, he can't do anything. It was a very, very touching exchange between a female pensioner holding onto a bond and the finance minister. It was a pretty touching exchange there. The finance minister stood his ground and says, I've heard you, I've done everything I could to assist you, there's no more I can do, as far as that is concerned. But with all the changes that has happened, from 137 billion that the government was hoping to save with this particular exchange is dwindled to 130. So there is some 7 billion that has been knocked off as a result of the concessions government has made. When we return from the break, I will play for you the entire address by the finance minister. Then I'll hear from my guests. Stay with me.